How about we just redo this video and let's just kind of recap all over again in a more proper way, because there's a lot of information that I wasn't informed about until now. Disclaimer, I do not want anyone to go attack Julian Marrero, Julian's a Bad Man channel, or anyone I mention in this video. This video is not meant for harassment or any other purpose that is malicious. This video will mention grooming, pedophilia, child porn, mentions of fetish content, and ableism, or any other content that is triggering. If you are sensitive to these topics or aren't, comfortable with triggering topics, I suggest clicking off now. Without further ado, let's just rewind and go back. I'm too lazy to redo my sprites because I am very lazy. Hi, my name is Theo Lavwaves, or Sav, and today we're going to be talking about Julian Marrero. I covered him like a year ago, and I do admit the video is piss poor, especially when Mr. Blocky went over my video and pretty much said so. Speaking of him, we did talk over DMs about this situation, and pretty much we made an agreement that this situation was a very gray area. There's no black or white to it. I was unaware that the Julian Marrero is a Bad Man channel was not as better compared to the people that they talked about. They may be a little bit, I would say, suspicious, consider the fact I didn't really have a good out with one of the members, plus one of the members being into, how do I say this? Funtime Mario just views people as sex objects, pretty much drawing them with big asses and tits. And overall is a fucking degenerate coomer. I honestly don't care that he has his own kinks, to each of their own, still fucking weird. However, I will go over this as to why I'm shaming him for this. But besides the point, my main issue is that although people do not like Julian Marrero for obvious reasons as to why they don't like him, they never talk about how it went down. It was kept very vague. It's just, oh, he was a pedophile and that was it. Even though there was just more than just that. They really don't talk about the fact how he was groomed by an adult and how he was pretty much of a porn addict. Because all the shit that he did was normalized all because of his fucking groomer. Not necessarily saying it as an excuse as to why he abused people and was overall really predatory and had some pedophilic tendencies. Not necessarily saying that he is a pedophile, but consider the fact the shit that he went through and how it was normalized to him, he should really be checked out at a mental ward. And that's why here today we're going to be talking about some of the details that people left out about his past. However, they may be gone, such as the Julian Marrero is a Bad Man channel, him himself, and his groomer. They are never forgotten. So we're going to be going over for that today, and overall, just talk about the stuff that people left out. I do want to clarify that this video isn't giving him any excuses nor sugarcoating and painting him as some sort of saint. He may be a victim of pedophilia, but the shit he has done is not an excuse. But the people who called him out for this aren't any better either. So if you try to come after my throat saying I dick ride Julian Marrero, that is not my intention at all. I'm pointing out how the fact that both sides fucking suck. Not just the fucking Julian is Bad Man channel, nor him himself, both suck. And that it's just a very gray area. And I'll be going through that today. So without further ado, let's get started.
You ungrateful fucking whore!
Now, before we do get into his story, I really want to talk about his groomer in order to clarify some things. So, his groomer, he was groomed by Rainbow Kitty 101. If you don't know who that person is, they make voice acting content, comics, art shit. I don't really give a fuck about their content, consider the fact it sucks dick.
All I need is one. One old man is enough. Babe, you got it wrong. Please turn your fears into trust.
Oh my fucking god, it's so bad. Even the Has Been Hotel playlist has competition with this. Besides the point, she turned out to be a fucking child predator and a groomer. She made child porn off of real minors. She was friends with setter weirdos. She also basically drove off someone to fucking kill themselves. And most importantly, just a fucking freak. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Julian was groomed by Rainbow Kitty. And looking back at the Julian is a Bad Man channel, basically the Bonzi show, whatever the fuck playlist it was, they never addressed the fact that he was being groomed by a 21-year-old. And how they didn't really take issue with that, but more focus on the fact that Julian was friends and being groomed with said 20-year-old and mainly victim blaming. Hey, Bonzi, or Funtime Mario, I don't really genuinely give a fuck about how many members are in your group. You claim to, I don't know, support SA victims and, you know, advocate for them, yet you're literally victim blaming someone who was groomed by a 21-year-old and more focus on the fact that they were friends with a 20-year-old, even though you should be concerned about the 20-year-old. Like you said, enable his fucking behavior and normalize this shit to him.
Of course we can't forget how a popular Twitter user named Arthur, who is known for his Friday Night Funkin' mods, actually called her out when she said how she thought Julian was innocent. Prior to this call-out, Rainbow kept refusing when less popular users tried warning her about Julian. She was extremely stubborn and refused to leave his side despite everyone telling her how bad he is.
And I'm more concerned about her being friends with a minor more than the fact that she's literally fucking grooming them. Because, I don't give a fuck that a child is being groomed by a fucking adult. I'm more concerned about her being friends with a minor. Because the minor did so many terrible things, and if she stopped being friends with them, her record would have been squeaky clean, even though she has a history of being a pedophile. I definitely care about SA victims, am I fucking right, guys? Fuck these people. I swear, these fucking degenerates are more concerned about her being friends with an awful person than more concerned about the fact that she's literally fucking grooming them and have a track record of making weird, questionable stuff. I'm gonna say this, obviously, Julian is not a saint. He did sexually harass, a couple of people. But the fact that you're blaming her just because she's friends with Julian more than the fact that, she fucking grooms him is so gross. And I'm betting, 100K on this. You wouldn't be making this video if she wasn't friends with Julian to begin with. You wouldn't be saying this shit, how she was a fucking pedophile and stuff, if she wasn't friends with Julian. Hypocritical is a fucking understatement. You're just blatantly contradicting yourself. They also contradict themselves with their whole ideology that pedophiles are bad, but I will get into that later. That's all I gotta say for this segment. It's just more to keep something in mind. Cause if we're gonna ask why he's acting like this is one of the best examples on why he acts like this. But yeah, that's all I had to say for this segment. I'm gonna be moving on to the next. What happened with Julian's past? What was he like in the past? Well, this is definitely going to take a bit, considering the fact I'm going to have to rewatch the whole Julian is a Bad Man channel in order to understand what happened and what went down. Oh, fucking boy.
Jesus H. Christ.
I'm going to try to keep this short as possible as I can, but also make it very coherent compared to the other videos that they made. But anyways, I guess this drama all started because of, Funtime Mario's girlfriend, Mushroomy, by the way, was getting, hit on by, Julian Marrero, where he was, making art about how he wanted to be in a relationship with them. I don't know, I might be wrong. I'm not certain. It's unknown how this channel started. I know it's pretty obvious that, Julian is a shitty person, that's why they started a channel, but there's really no clear reason as to why. Keep in mind, I think Funtime Mario and their girlfriend were much older compared to Julian, so it's why did he continue to engage instead of blocking them? I can understand kids taking advantage of someone who's much older, but it's a 50-50 situation. Let me explain here. When the adult is expressing to the child how they don't like their inappropriate behavior that's directed towards them, and even after trying to avoid them and, the child continuously doing that behavior, I can understand that point, because at that point you're getting sexually harassed by a minor, and even after the attempts where you took the adult route of blocking them and leaving them alone and they still continue to contact to you, obviously it's not the adult's fault and that the child should be taken care of. But it's another thing where you continue to engage with a minor and start to enable their behavior until, all of a sudden it's too much. And you start to blame them instead of taking any accountability. Or if not, fail to do the adult thing and block them. There's really no excuse if you fail to do the adult thing and block them and cut contact from the minor. And when it comes to that case, most of the time that happens where the adult is responsible of the situation instead of the child. Let me just put this for example, Yandere Dev or T. Nichols. They blame the minor more than just taking the accountability. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit too off topic. After the whole situation of Rainbow Kitty grooming Julian, he started to sexually harass and groom other people. I'm gonna start with the obvious, Rose. If you don't know who that person is, they used to be against the Julian is a bad man channel until they started to show like the crypt messages about how they were being abused by Julian. Basically being forced into doing sexual scenarios, constantly forced into making sexual art, traced art matter of fact, and overall just Julian grooming Rose.
He also made a request to Rose wanting to cry, assuming it's for his collection of fetish content where people cry. Oddly enough, involved children.
Do a crying voice.
Oh, why?
Because it's cute.
Excuse me, what?
It's cute.
You have a girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Then why are you doing this?
Because.
During that whole time it happened, Rose was like 11 years old when Julian was grooming them, and he was like 13 or 14. I can't exactly recall. Which, that alone is like 2 to 3 years apart. And it's not necessarily pedophilia because it's not really 5 years. Unless if he did date someone who is like 5 years younger, then yeah, that would be questionable. Regardless if he dates someone who's 5 years younger or the age gap was like 3 years apart, it's still really fucking grotesque. If we're gonna talk about his dating life, then I don't think, from what I've heard, he has dated anyone who's like 5 years younger than him. Future Sav here, if we're gonna talk about the fact that he made countless of like child porn, especially like fictional and real children, even then he can't be registered as a pedophile, consider the fact he had to be 16 years old in order to be diagnosed, and at that time he was like 13 or 14, so he isn't really a pedophile because of that situation. But I would say that he may have some sort of like pedophilia tendencies, but that could be debated because either, you know, it was normalized by his groomer, or if not, he may genuinely have some sort of pedophilic behavior that just completely went undiagnosed. And those arguments are valid, but it's not really determined whether he does have some sort of pedophilia disorder, or if not, it's mainly due to the fact that it was normalized by his groomer of, you know, her making countless of like CP. But anyways, matter of fact, the people who he was sexually harassing was actually like, you know, older than him. And I'm talking about like Funtime Mario, their girlfriend, and most importantly, Blue Mean Dog, or High Five Paws, for example. Also, editing again, I do forgot to mention that like Blue Mean Dog, what happened with that situation was that like they used to be friends until like Julian started to be really sexual towards them, talking about how they have a sexual interest towards their mom and how they made inappropriate comments with, you know, Blue Meme Dog, and is constantly possessive, and overall is just like a really toxic friendship between one another. He also masturbated to call towards them and just other really grotesque stuff. I suggest looking over Daredevil Entertainment's video, which is a re-upload in a description about the whole situation, which gives a better idea of what happened. So yeah, it's like, why did Blue Mean Dog not block Julian? Like, they were like, I don't know, 15 or 16, and Julian was like 12 while they're interacting. I'm sorry, but like, you could have just blocked them. I'm not saying that just to excuse his behavior, but at the same time, it's just like, if you know that he's being inappropriate with you numerous times, at that point, just block him. Don't get me started with Funtime Mario saying that he was forced to make fetish art for Julian, even though I call bullshit because it's like, he's like my age, I think. And Julian was like 12. I'm sorry, there's no fucking way that you're forced, even though you literally could have just blocked him. Regardless, you're a fucking creep for making fetish art for like, you know, someone who's like much younger than you. You're fucking weird. Which is really ironic how his ideology is hating pedophiles, even though he's literally a creep himself, which I'll get into that in a little bit, but that's besides the point. He also had a girlfriend at the time who enabled his behavior a lot instead of actually recognizing his concerning behavior and getting him mental help. She also used his mental disability as an excuse for what he has done, and also got sent to the Shadow Realm. I'll link a video in the description about his girlfriend, because it's another long story that happened. His channel was taken down, not necessarily because it was terminated, but his mom took the channel down and pretty much like restrict him from any social media. The whole situation was a fucking mess. People just not explaining the situation properly, and not looking more into depth of what happened with it. And due to the harmful information of the channel just constantly victim blaming Julian for, you know, being groomed by Rainbow Kitty, a lot of people led to believe that it's his own fault for getting groomed, and that they more focus on the fact of him being friends with someone who's shitty more than the fact that, you know, they're concerned about his well-being. Because literally no one brought up the fact that he was being groomed by an adult and just constantly lunge at him for the throat, even though it's like, there's more than just him being stupid, you know, and just overall being a shitty human being. Because people left so many fucking gaps into the story to the point I had to dig for this. And not that much people realizing that, you know, the channel they're getting their resource from aren't good people themselves. Finally, I could start clowning on these motherfuckers. Anyway, it's really ironic how they talk so much fucking shit about Julian, which I can't blame them, you know? Julian is a piece of shit bigot, but you cannot be talking that much shit even though you literally go against your own ideology. Yeah, you fucking heard me. They're friends with a pedophile.
Another edit, due to the fact that I can't really tell whether the community post was posted in, because the controversy happened around like March or April.
So I'm not really sure whether they still are friends with Carno Productions. And even if they aren't, the community post is really weird because it's like, why are you defending someone who's a child predator? And why are you going against your whole ideology? You're a fucking hypocrite, dude. Also, I honestly don't care if the other party is racist. We're gonna talk about the fact how you're literally supporting someone who's a child predator. Cause ain't no way you're trying to deflect this fucking argument by saying that they're racist, even though you're literally supporting a child predator. Even if Carno was like drawing that shit when he was like 14, that makes it more hypocritical because Julian was doing the exact same shit that Carno was doing, but somehow you give Carno a pass? Really? But anyways, back on track. If you don't know who I'm talking about, they're friends with Carno Productions, which Carno has a really not so good history with being inappropriate with minors. He also admitted this himself, by the way. It's not like I'm bold-faced lying to you.
That type of action, I have actually multiple sources to this, by the way.
But from what I heard, no one gave me actual permission to actually drop the character.
It doesn't matter on the permission, you're still sexualizing a minor, regardless, and that is still illegal. Even if you didn't know, you're still promoting the action. Every single excuse and argument you make doesn't literally, it literally doesn't affect it. You've just been checkmated. Regardless of the excuse, it is actually still illegal. It really is. Yeah, it's still illegal to not only you know, be sexual towards minors, but to even promote that behavior in general. Regardless of what the context is.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, this comes from someone whose father's a cop.
I'll be linking my playlist in the description where it goes over the Carno Productions controversy, because there's just more than him being a child predator, so yeah, links in the description. Not only they're friends with someone who's a child predator who groomed kids, but they're also friends with someone who is willing to cover up the fact that they're a child predator just because one of their relatives is working in the justice system, and will do anything in order to eliminate these allegations just because their own relative can dismiss them. Is this who you're getting your source from? These people who are fucking hypocrites who would bash pedophiles but be friends with one themselves? Mind you, this is a source you're getting from. People who literally go against their ideology and contradict themselves. Matter of fact, they're literally predators themselves. They're friends with one, plus they literally made NSFW for the person that they go against. God, this whole situation just screams rules for thee, not for me. Fucking hell. But this is like the beginning of the end of their contradictments. And just overall being fucking malicious and not actually, you know, being concerned. They literally called Julian even though he's literally autistic. And even after their girlfriend told them this, they still continue to call them And the reason why I'm using that word is because I'm autistic myself. I've been targeted with that word. Plus, I can reclaim that slur.
The fuck is wrong with this retard?
And with her, she'd been trying to use Julian's autism as an excuse for his actions.
Julian
became a lover, and any motherfucker who support these morons are more fucking retarded than a Karen screaming about me eating forest berries. My banana lunch finally done dealing with these retards.
That is nothing that you should be proud of, Julian. Seriously, how the fuck can you be this fucking retarded?
I'm sorry, man, but you calling him a fucking isn't making you any better whatsoever. Make fun of him all you want just because, like, he's a fucking weirdo and a bigot, but you calling him the fucking word isn't making you any better. Also, the fact that your dumbass members think sending death threats is fucking criticism is so laughable. Play that fucking clip.
And he blatantly lies and says, I leave death threats. Oh yeah, how could I forget? I left a comment on there saying he should go die a horrible death and should go burn in a damn fire. Don't you guys remember that? I don't know why I need to explain this to you, but those aren't death threats, Julian. It's called criticism.
I can't tell if this is sarcasm or not, but if it's not, you calling him the R slur is so fucking laughable. Consider the fact you think a death threat is criticism. I think you're more slow if you're just thinking that death threats are criticism. I may be an asshole, yes. I send death threats to pedophiles, but at least I admit I send fucking death threats on, like, these pussies. Like, holy fuck, you're a loser. You can't be acting all tough shit, calling people the R slur. Meanwhile, you're more slow compared to the people you called out. Give me a break. Speaking of sending death threats to pedophiles, don't get me started with your pussy ass fucking member crying just because people are sending death threats towards pedophiles. I'm talking to you, Yoshin Kingmaster. Coming from the same people who tell people to slit their wrists for their amusement. Yeah, I can take your criticism seriously. Also, content creators? Yeah, because I want to make a career of calling people out. I'd rather do my own thing than sit here listening to two jackasses who make an ass out of themselves. Oh yeah, by the way, Yoshin Kingmaster, I still remember the time that your bitch ass complained and cried just because I made a more coherent response about the whole Julian Marreros situation compared to your asses. The fact that you're getting pissy over people telling pedophiles to kill themselves is so fucking laughable because it literally goes against your ideology. Actually, I'm not even surprised. You guys are literally friends with a predator, so, I mean, makes sense with your shitty ass art. And now, for the grand reveal of a contradiction I ever fucking heard. Roll that clip.
Me. I don't wanna be.
Just stop. The fact you wrote this like you're the fucking victim in the situation, even though you clearly wrote that you thought that being a pedophile was the right choice, is fucking stupid.
Clearly wrote that you thought that being a pedophile was the right choice is fucking stupid.
Oh boy, you can't be fucking talking, bro.
Some bikini artworks that I'm concerning, even though that's not what it looks like. It looks like a sticker with a colored paper.
I know you can't talk shit saying his art looks like dog shit. Meanwhile, your own member cannot draw someone normally without making them into a fucking sex object. Give me a fucking break, dude. By the way, if we're gonna try to make the argument that, well, Julian drawn child porn, so that's different. Your member is literally commissioning people who makes child porn.
After all of this, he deleted his account. Really fishy. Also, friends with people who are interested into child porn. So, I don't know why you guys are being so fucking hypocritical here. Meanwhile, you guys aren't any better. Because I know you guys can't be all high and mighty. Meanwhile, you have your own skeletons in your own closet. I think that's all I needed to address about their contradictions and the fact they're shitty people. If there's more than just that, I'll definitely link a video about it in the description. This video took me quite a bit in order to make. I had to like dig through a lot of information in order to fill those gaps in the story that they left behind. Even though some information may be unconfirmed, it's still really odd how they just made this channel just cause they had something against him. More the fact they're more concerned about him being a fucking predator and him being groomed by Rainbow Kitty. They honestly, genuinely don't give a shit about victims as a whole. They just mainly care for the fact that they have a reason to beat down Julian. I get it that he's a fucking bigot and a piece of shit. He's also a predator too. But you just making the channel just cause you don't like him and you're just trying to find a reason in order to dislike him, you aren't any better. You're a part of the problem. Especially when you're blaming him for being friends with Rainbow Kitty. And I bet, again, like 10K, that if he wasn't involved, you wouldn't be making a video about Rainbow Kitty. Because it really goes to show how you genuinely don't give a fuck about SA victims. This whole situation is mainly just him being enabled for his porn addiction and, you know, possibly hypersexual behavior. Just cause he saw his groomer doing the exact same behavior. So obviously, he thinks it's normalized for him to do that. And instead of the members being more concerned about him being groomed, they just mainly lunge at him just because he's friends with Rainbow Kitty. They never talk about his past. They never talk about the fact how he was the abused at the time. They just mainly, like, made the fucking channel out of malicious intent instead of giving him help. The story is so fucking inconsistent to the point I had to fill in the gaps of what actually happened. And yet it's still inconsistent. We aren't sure how really old they are during the time that they met, so really it's like, are they hiding it just to be malicious, or they just forgot? They even hide some of the age gaps in one of the situations, like Blue Meme Dog, for example. They never mentioned a fucking age gap, and I had to figure that out myself. They also didn't mention the age gap between them and Julian, which I mean Funtime Mario and their girlfriend. So really it's like, are they just hiding it to be malicious, or what? Who fucking knows? It seems like they're hiding some information of what actually happened just to be malicious. It's a part of a theory of mine, but who actually knows? And what is my conclusion? It's a really gray area. There's no black or white to it. Julian himself is a piece of shit, but nobody talks about the fact that the people who are exposing him aren't any better either. Matter of fact, you could just say it's self-projection at this point. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you finally know the truth. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.